All right, everyone, the TikTok is ticking, and this time we've got him for real. Just one more week Blue Anon. In this particular case, link in the description, archived of course. There are rumblings that they do want to indict Donald Trump. Not for insurrection or anything like that, though. This is pertinent to the New York case, ruled over by Alvin Bragg. This is in Manhattan, actually. And it has to do with business filings. That is specifically an older case involving Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Led to him pleading guilty at the time and saying, yeah, I was specifically told by Trump to pay $130,000 in hush money to Stormydaniels, and that those payments were filed. He pled guilty to making this bribe or hush money payment, which I was not aware that giving somebody money that was covered originally under NDA was actually illegal at all. I'm not sure exactly the legal stretching that's going on, but it's Manhattan, so, you know, they don't play by the same rules as the actual legal system, and there seem to be no repercussions for this kind of kangaroo court corruption. So they got Cohen. And then Trump was reimbursing through Cohen Stormydaniels. And what happened is, the allegation is that Trump committed a felony by filing that payment as legal fees. Now, of course, it's going through his lawyer, so, you know, it kind of makes sense, but the payments were made. They want to indict him on felony charges for misstating what the money was specifically docketed for. So it's business fraud, basically. This is batshittery. Let me explain again, as I've explained before, the subtle nuance of what would happen if they actually indicted and arrested Donald Trump now. There's a big issue with Trump moving his residency to Florida, too, and Florida being run largely by MAGA Republicans, who may like Ron DeSantis a lot, and DeSantis and Trump may be sparring. That's a whole nother goddamn rabbit hole. In fact, it's so many rabbit holes it looks like a bowl of fucking spaghetti, but we'll go down that too. Problem number one with indicting and arresting Donald Trump. About a third of the U.S. public immediately believes that you're staging a coup. That's going to be a problem. There would be protests, by the way. It would be seen as politically, as a political hatchet job. By the way, I would tend to agree with that assessment. Basically, they know they can't get Trump on any insurrection charges or anything. The Georgia case fell through. The original Stormydaniels dust-up ended with Stormydaniels losing, by the way, so now they're trying to work around and dovetail through the lawyer case with Michael Cohen. It is a very strange and bizarre legal pattern we're seeing. J6 didn't lead to an indictment. Trump did nothing wrong, and now they're trying to up it to felony charges again through the falsification of business records thing. The first problem, though, is much more subtle. Former U.S. presidents have a vanguard of Secret Service members that have to be with them at all times. If you were to, therefore, arrest Donald Trump, put him on trial, and he got found guilty, so, you know, he has to be punished. You can't hold him in a jail now, can you? You can't even detain him while the trial is going on. Of course, he can easily make whatever bail they would set anyway, because he's Donald Trump. He happens to be a billionaire. That would be a little bit of a problem. Are you going to hold Donald Trump in a cell and then have a rotating cast of Secret Service agents in the adjacent cells? Are you going to hold him with the general population? Are you going to put him in some special federal prison? Are you going to have to build a little attachment to a federal prison, the Donald Trump suite, and he can decorate it with a gold toilet and everything like that? That's the problem. There's no precedent for this, and the law requires that the Secret Service be there attending to him. That doesn't simply go away because there is a criminal charge against him, especially pending a guilty verdict, which may or may not even happen in the end, even in Manhattan. There's the possibility that the jury is capable of understanding the stupidity with which this is being operated upon. That's problem number one. Problem number two is that Donald Trump is currently located in Florida, and it is like as not that the Floridian government would act immediately to prevent the extradition of Donald Trump back to Manhattan. It would be a little bit like a mini Civil War situation. You have the New York Police Department and stateies and stuff like that, which don't have jurisdiction in Florida, requiring legally the Floridian police to grab him. Secret Service is involved. The federal government might get involved. DeSantis could call up the goddamn state guard and say, no, we're not going to do that at all. It's illegitimate. You have no jurisdiction, and fuck you. Who's to say that wouldn't happen? Because the alternative, I think from the mind of Ron DeSantis specifically here, you've got a resident in your state, former president, he's on the campaign trail. How is it going to look, since you are presumptively planning to get into that same race, how does it look if you allow your opponent to be jailed? How would that look for Ron DeSantis? What would happen? Let's say that Trump gets knocked out. I mean, being indicted doesn't prevent him from running. Even being in a jail cell wouldn't prevent him from actually launching a campaign. It would probably cripple the campaign, which they might be crazy enough, and that might be the whole point behind this. If DeSantis then gets in, what does MAGA do? He might win the Republican nomination. Does he win the general? No. He probably loses in a 50-state landslide because all of MAGA stays home and turns their backs to him. Trump's core fan base is too large and disproportionate a chunk of the electorate in the Republican Party for DeSantis, or anyone else for that matter, to possibly win if Donald Trump has been taken off the campaign trail and put in a cell. And that's the other problem. Because of the nuance of his security detail, in the end, if you did find him guilty, it would probably be just a show trial anyway, because in the end, you probably cannot, legally speaking, put him in jail. So he would get house arrest, he'd be sent back to the Mar-a-Lago, or he'd be put up in his Trump hotel in Manhattan or something like that, still with Secret Service, and end up paying a fine. And people would say, wow, years of investigation, and he's free to roam around one of his properties, and he acts with impunity. And he's still campaigning. And he's still making Rumble videos, and that's the other problem, the other bit of nuance that people are missing. Donald Trump has one hell of a bully pulpit. Even if he doesn't get back on YouTube, where he has been restored, Twitter, Meta, and all these others to complain about such a thing and say, look, I'm being railroaded, enough is enough, and they're literally trying to hijack the political system because they're so fucking terrified of me, and he could probably win the GOP's nomination on that token. We'll get to that in a moment. Even if he doesn't, he still gets outreach to millions of people. That could cause some problems for the system. That is a significant number of people. And therein lies the final problem. That Donald Trump, in the end, could end up scoring the nomination regardless. The backlash by MAGA, and even former MAGA they're skeptical of Trump. A lot of the skepticism boils down to, well, Trump just didn't do enough. If they see Donald Trump getting carted off in handcuffs, boy oh boy will that reinvigorate them. I mean, the memes war will begin anew. It'll be like a meme atomic war at that point. It'll be like a goddamn nuclear conflict. It'll be amazing. It's almost worth it happening just to see the mass political fallout. This is utter batshittery. If anyone is endangering the Republic, it's not Donald Trump giving a speech where he tells people to go and peacefully march. It's not Donald Trump paying Stormydaniels money ostensibly because he screwed her years and years ago, and he misfiled it when it went back through Cohen, and so all of a sudden there's a felony charge. That's bullshit. The money was paid. What are you alleging? That he skeeved on his taxes by docking it as a legal fee? Okay, well then that's a federal, that would be federal. That wouldn't be the Manhattan DA now, would it? Doesn't make any sense. That's not a danger to the Republic. The danger to the Republic is that we're now stepping into the unprecedented zone where a mainline political candidate and the presumptive nominee of a major party might end up getting taken off the campaign trail again due to a misfiling of business records that they have not yet proven. So if they indict him, that doesn't mean he's guilty. It means that they think that there's probable cause to proceed with a trial. Trump may not even be compelled to show up. He might shrug his shoulders and say, well, come and get me. Go a fucking head. Come and get me. And all of a sudden there's a million people surrounding the Mar-a-Lago refusing to allow the stadies through. You could end up with such a situation. When I see that multiple law enforcement agencies are silently preparing for the possibility, I don't even know if the story's true, because this sounds also, and in closing I'll point this out, an awful lot like past events where it's 2 more weeks Blue and on. We've got him this time. We're going to get him on J6. They're going to recommend charges. Did they? No. It fell flat completely. Now we're investigating the investigators, finding out all the shit that they missed on purpose. As we have seen, The J6 committee members never even reviewed the footage that they were putting out before they put it out. They left it up to staffers. Interesting way to deal with a situation where you're claiming to the public that you think that the U.S. government was almost overthrown in a coup attempt. I pointed that out. There's a little bit of an apples to oranges there between the severity of what supposedly happened and the way in which you treated its severity in actual practice. It's batshittery. If they do this, they are endangering the republic. They they could engender a situation where you have states refuse to go along with it, Florida notably. Trump using the bully pulpit for actual malevolent purposes, if he feels the need to do so. There would definitely be civil disobedience involved. I can guarantee that. And you have the illegitimacy of the charge in the first place because, again, if you're claiming that this has anything to do with taxes or something like that by extension, you're talking about the federal case. But this is the state case. They don't have jurisdiction in Florida. Trump is not a resident of New York. Also, this is dating back years ago and involves, for Trump, a tiny goddamn sum of money. It's not even fully about the Stormydaniels case. Stormydaniels lost a legal case against Donald Trump. He prevailed on that case. So they decided to do a workaround. Only in New York would I believe there's a possibility that this is even true. If they were saying this about the J6 committee's findings, the DOJ and stuff, like always for the last several years, I'd poo-poo it and I'd say, come on. When I see a bunch of legacy media outlets parroting the same thing at the same time, it's because they're all basing it on the same primordial work. And it does appear that that's the case here. You get one presser saying that this is happening, doesn't name names, law enforcement won't respond to your calls. It's not really proof of anything. It's basically just your opinion, man. But only in New York would I think there's actually a possibility that Alvin Bragg and the others there are batshit enough to actually go through with this. We'll see what happens. I suspect that if they do attempt an indictment, it is going to get goddamn ugly and goddamn interesting very quickly. In fact, night or day, if that does happen over the next week, I will probably have to do some sort of special coverage. I'll take my fucking phone out to the cuck shed and do it out there if I have to at 2 a.m. for something that juicy. That's about all. Peace out.